So in my presentation, I will speak about one topic that is aimed to analyze the challenges we as companies are facing in building the team. So, but I would like to be clear that this topic will be about the challenges of building the in-house team. I myself do not have a lot of experience in building distributed teams. We have, I guess, different tools there. So this topic will cover the building of in-house team. The company that I come from is right now 53 people, but back in 2008 when the company started, I was a sole employee at that time. So we grew steadily over the years. So these are the three elements that I find very important for setting up a good growth strategy. These are the company core values. We need a good, strong hiring process, and we also need to have a good pool of available talent where we will hire from. Let's start with the company core values. So, some companies have the core values written, some do not. But even if you don't have it written, it's very important that your employees understand them and that they can identify with these core values, and they can see the company's core values something that is aligned with their character, with their aspirations, and with their personal goals. Having a clear company core values is helping to shape the culture. They are there to support the vision of the company, and they are the essence, I believe, of corporate identity. And most of the companies, the developing companies, actually focus on the technical competencies of their employees, but often forget that the technical competencies are not the only area which motivates each of the individuals, but they then neglect the importance of building such a company core values in the company. They play a very important role in hiring and retention. So when the company has a good identity as a good place to work in, then it will likely attract the new talent. The company will get new employees which will come to the company, and the money actually and the kind of the salary raise will not be the crucial factor in order for the great talent to join. And I think this is very important, and same goes with retention, right? So if if the team kind of feels good and feels like they are in a good environment, they enjoy working in, there will be less issues with retention. Yeah, obviously. But it is very important that you are sticking and that to the company core values, and that you promote them on a daily basis. So don't say that you as a business owner should not say that the teamwork is a core company value if you as a business owner will make every decision in the company by yourself without consulting with your team. Then actually it's just a saying. You are not, teamwork is actually not a core value, because you are making all of these decisions by yourself. Also, don't say the design is your company core value, because that you are, I don't know, the design-centric company, if actually most of your Magento projects will just be themes that you will, just change the color scheme. Also, don't say that the technical excellence is your company core values if you will tolerate your developers to edit the code or do all types of different bad practices, just install a bunch of extensions without caring how will affect the optimization and stuff like this. So then actually the technical excellence in this case is not your company core values, although even with this approach you could have a good business with, you could run and grow your business with. So the rule number one is the is the Brigid the values you want to see in your company. So I think that every business owner, here should, kind of think about the core values he wants to see in the company and actually breathe them and stick to them and kind of incorporate it in your daily behavior. Number 2 is we'll speak a little about the hiring process and basically one rule that I consider also to be very, very important. It is easy, but I think you will see similar things in your companies also. So let's say this guy. This guy, let's call him John. So John applied for a job. He comes to the job interview, and he has a little bit of understanding of object-oriented programming. He knows how to connect a couple of tables in the database. He has some projects in his portfolio, and overall, he's not super experienced, but his profile is something you think that could be a good fit, for your company. So on a personal level, you see him as a good fit. On a technical level, he has potential, but the current knowledge is, so-so, right? So this is John. At the same job context, another person comes. So this is, let's call him Jim. So I have nothing against any Jims, but here's Jim. Jim actually is a superb developer. So he already has Magento projects behind him. He's extremely experienced. He has good projects in his portfolio. And basically, you feel that if you hire him, tomorrow you can give him the project and he can work it on. However, you feel that he is not a good match for your company, for your values you want to see in the company. You see that he is the type of the person who, let's say, will a little bit pollute the atmosphere, could pollute the atmosphere in the company. And the question is, who will you hire? You have the pressure. You have the ongoing projects. Every company here has a pressure of having a new project. So you know that if you hire Jim, he can work tomorrow. But with the guy before, you will need a little bit patience. So, but you might think, okay, so I can afford, right, to have a couple of Jims, because what's more important is that majority of the company are actually, have the positive behavior and share the corporate values you want to see in the company. The topic that we told. But when you start hiring like this and basically start to tolerate Jims, then what actually happens is something like this. You see Jones, he will eventually burn out. So at one point you will have this type of environment in your company. So Jones will start to feel a little bit demotivated because they join the company because of the values you are promoting. This is the reason why they join the company, but they see that you as a business owner are tolerating behaviors of Jims, and and eventually they will feel less motivated about it. They will start to question themselves: is this the reason why they joined the company? And eventually, some will feel demotivated, some will feel fear, and you will see that some Jones will turn to Jims, because let's say that Jim is a jackass. And what is actually happening in the company, because Jims are creating something called jackass vortex effect, because good people attract the other good people. Bad people are kind of pulling the good people in their, mini stories, and they can kind of absorb the positivity in the company, and you can eventually see Jones become a Jim. And eventually, you will see the effects on production, on stability, on retention, and this is the issues that are hard to fix. When it takes when it goes too far. So rule number 2 is just don't tolerate ill behavior in your company. So you need to be very strict about it. If somebody is talking trash about the other people, if somebody is always blaming others for the failures he did, if one person will always speak the best of himself, and it will all be the clients that are the problem, the colleagues are the problem, the designers are the problem, everybody's problem, but he is the best, so you shouldn't actually tolerate this type of behavior, because it's not only influencing the relationship of you as a business owner with this type of person, but it affects the whole company, because mostly the relationship and the atmosphere is not forming in the talk between you and him. The relationship in the company is forming, the places when the employees have beer together. So you as a business owner will not be at that place. You will not know what basically the how will they comment this between each other, but you just need to execute the decision. All right, and the third and the tricky part is actually available talent. So the first 2 components, the corporate core values and the hiring process, is something that you can more or less control, right? But available talent is hard to control because you have a pool of talent, which is usually your community, and you have limited control over it. Especially if you are young or small company, and let's say a company of 50 people is not such a big subject to have a huge impact on the community. But there are methods that can be used to attract and to support the available talent in your community in order to train them and actually so that they can be a part of your company. So which methods do you use when you are hiring employees? And so usually you will use the word of mouth, so you will get a recommendation on some guy which is good or that is interested in getting a job in your company. Then you will contact him directly. Sometimes you write a job contest, on the local job portals and stuff like this. Some companies are using hiring agencies. At Inchoo, we never use hiring agency, but I know that in bigger cities it's more popular. Is there something else some other company uses besides these 3?
Yeah, also the special kind of sites where you can search for people, or Facebook maybe. So
yeah, Facebook. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. But besides, this, when you basically write a job contest, the people will join. But I find it very important that the company is also trying to make an impact on the local community in order to grow the talent there. So I know that some companies think, but we don't have time to do it. We have our own business that we need to focus on. My guys are overloaded, so we don't have that amount of time. But the reality is that it doesn't, need to take a huge amount of time for the company to participate in the involvement of the community. So some things that are easy to do is certain training programs where attendees could pay, that could be free, or where the companies are actually paying the students to come and sit and take the lecture. So this third one was something that one company from Romania uses. When they sign the trainee program, they are actually paying for the students to come to that training program. For me, it doesn't make sense, but you know, they say it pays off. But mostly the programs, for example, that Inchoo does are free for attendances. They don't pay. So this is one example also from one company from Romania, which actually had the program of training with us. And this actually is a pre-hiring training program that they do for everybody that is interesting to get a job. So they have like 10 seats, and from these 10 seats, they will hire 3 or so. You know, so it's I feel that, you know, something like this is a quite good example. But this is more or less straightforward and easy. But actually, to change, to really impact the whole community you have in your let's say locations where you work from, you actually need the university to support you know, the you know, to support the development studies or economy studies that are aimed for online marketing in order for the companies like us to grow. But in this type of network, we have 3 elements. We have the university, we have entrepreneurs, and we have you know, pool of talent, which are students and high schools and stuff. And the common goal is to build a better work competitiveness. And the first challenge that companies, you know, like us are facing is the challenge of communication. You know, I don't know how it is, you know, in your countries, but you know, in Croatia, we all feel like this university kind of lives in the parallel world, and the employees, you know, in the academy institutions are just don't have a clue how actually the real businesses are actually operating and what challenges are they facing. And in Croatia, we see that they don't have a clue what type of skill set they need to build with the students in order for them to be more competitive when they are applying for job and stuff. So, but if every of the company in the local community would actually start speaking with the university, it would be a mess. It will be a challenge for the university also, because you know, they will get different inputs for, I don't know, 20, 50 different companies, and nothing would actually happen because of that, because it will be huge noise in the communication. Every company would say something else matters the more, and the university will have a hard time understanding which steps they need to take to promote or to improve the program or the curriculums they have. So what actually made a huge difference in my town called Osijek is that the companies kind of gathered together in one association called Osijek Sotor City, and then we sat together and defined what do we want from the university, you know. So in all of this and all of that common goals were defined at the association level, you know. So of course you need to do a little bit of compromise to accommodate the needs of the majority, but when we approached the university after that, it was the approach of Osijek Sotor City Association. So the university had to talk with only one subject in this case. And this is what made this whole communication process much easier, and it really made an impact. So, as I said, the association that was built in Osijek was called Osijek Sotor City, and this is the association where the companies that are in software development gather together with the goal to approach the university, increase the technical excellence in the education process, and motivate the young people to get interest in the software development. And this type of approach created a lot of university and partnership projects between the university and the company and the companies that are in the community. And one of the good results is that new smjer. A new study was actually created based on the conclusions and based on the inputs that Osijek Sotor City had. So the whole, 3-year study was created, and it started this year. So we see it as a big step forward in this type of relationship, especially to what we had before. And what we did, what is also very important is that in order for everything to succeed, the companies are identifying the movers in the university, and we are promoting them like rock stars. So instead of just speaking with somebody at the top of the university, and then expecting them to organize everything on their side, is something that we saw that it will not work. So instead we identified the individuals which have a strong personal desire to make an impact on the university program, and then we were using our channels, especially the media channels, to make them type of the university rock stars. So and then they really started to change their university ecosystem, and the results started to appear. However, this approach takes a lot of patience. Speaking with a number of companies from the conference, from the conferences like this and the others, I know that there are some that think that this is not something that companies like ours should do, and this is not something that this is not a role that the companies like ours should play. And I know that it's much harder to have this type of impact into your local university network in the bigger cities. It's much easier to have this type of impact in the smaller cities, and like ours, Osijek is a 100,000 population, but it's a student city. But still, I believe that each of us should think about, should consider a topic about how to make an impact into your local environment one way or another. So this is the end of the presentation. I hope I managed to achieve a little bit of interest and make some of you think about the different methods how you could impact your local societies. Do you have any questions, maybe? Yeah, sure.
Do you have an education process in your company?
Yes.
You hire employees?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah. So, of course, when the company was smaller, we didn't have something established so far, but when somebody comes in the company, he spends from 4 to 10 weeks into the education process. Mostly, we don't hire people who are trained in Magento, because we don't have people trained in Magento, applying for a job. So we will have mostly the PHP developers or some other technologies, but they need to know, the advanced OP before they join. That advanced OP is a little bit limited, so in the first 2 weeks we kind of polish their knowledge about the advanced OP, a little bit of the databases and stuff, and then we start with Magento. Of course, when somebody comes, we have internal joke that this employee first need to pass Weiler. So he's our technical educator, one of the most experienced backend developers in the company. So he is handling this education process, and only after 4 or 10 weeks, this employee, if he passes, will come to the team and be part of the production. So and it really depends on the previous skill set that somebody has.
But you pay for this time, right?
Yeah, of course. So he's hired before, and he's usually on probation period. And to be honest, I don't know, maybe we cancel this probation period like 20% of times, so it's not that much. Any other? Yeah, sure.
Hi,
Mark.
Tomislav. Thank you for sharing very inspiring presentation.
Thank
I
you.
have just one question about the core values of the company. How do you share them to your employees, and how do you improve your team to respect and to these core values?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as I said it when it was that slide, even in the company does not have it written, and we don't have it written. So one of the tasks that I need to do for my company, I need to write this down. You know. So, but it's just you know putting the things that matter, you know, in practice. You know. So for example, I think that for the majority of decisions, for example, I will consult, you know, the themes. We have the things what actually matter. So we don't tolerate bad practices in development. We have a strict rules. If somebody is trying to find an easy path, you know, to fix I don't know, something very quickly and not apply best practices, we know how to, you know, cut this type of behavior. So what I said, it's really about you know sticking and not making any compromises in the things that matter, to you.
Do you organize stuff like team building experiences?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah. This is also part of the story.
Mhm.
This is also part of the story. In order, you know, to feel good, you need to find the balance in the, you know, technical excellence, but also, you know, make the work pleasurable. Yeah. Any other? Yeah, sure.
How does your organizational structure look like? Do you have a hierarchy or a flat structure? How big are single teams? You mentioned
Yeah.
you've got around 80 people, if I remember correctly. So it's quite a huge team to manage. How do you cope with so many people?
Yeah, so it's 50. It's 50.
Ah,
50. Yeah, but we are organized by the teams. You know, so we have consultants, designers, mostly the developers, and then office management, sales, and stuff. But let's say the teams, development teams are you know, group of you know, 5 or 6 people. So the team of 6 is kind of the ideal number for us. So and the projects are actually, if possible, they will be distributed to a single team. Let's say if one project arises, you know, he will be in a single team, and rotations between the team are much less often than I think in some other companies. You know, so let's say if when team is formed, he will stay like this maybe, you know, over 1-2 years. You know, so then the team actually knows what to expect between each of them. And before this year, we didn't have a project managers because we shared. We thought that it's best that the best developer in the group who has kind of good communication skills handles the project management. But right now we have larger and larger projects which are you know. Some of them are having the design area and consulting area. So we right now started to build a project management team also. Any other questions? I think, yeah.
Yeah, did you ever try having remotely? If not, then why is the company strategy this way? Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, we didn't try remote. I believe I'm a tribal guy. You know, I believe really, you know, if that, you know, I enjoy how to say, the experience of growing a tribe. You know, so this is the first reason. Second, I was a freelancer for 2 years, and I was working as a remote developer on a couple of distributed teams, and it never worked out well. You know, so not because of me, of course, but you know, and when there is a conflict, I think it's much easier to solve it when there is a team in house, you know, and much quicker to solve it. And distributed teams require a huge amount of discipline, you know, of each individual, and I think I'm not quite ready to, you know, kind of take a risk of. You know, we have an issue in having a good discipline even with the in-house team. But if I would need to, achieve a good discipline with the distributed teams, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. I know that in many companies, distributed teams work, but I don't see something working well for Inchoo. Right.
I'd like to add a short comment to that because we
Yeah,
tried and
but we need to cut.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So maybe individual. Because we tried and it failed. That's why I wanted to share this. Because what we observed is remote job works well if entire company works remotely and you have a culture of remote work. If you have divided teams, some teams are working remotely and some people are in the center of the company, that doesn't work because those people generally meet each day. They engage, they work together, they have relations with each other, and the remote team just single people disappear after time. So it requires a lot of culture change.
Yeah, I think it's so. All right. Thank you very much.